Good. Okay, Carly, do you think that Google is making you stupid?
No.
I don't think it's making us more stupid. We don't have to memorize as much stuff, and that, in essence, can make someone's mental capacity maybe more stupid, because more, like people have said, a little bit lazier. But if everything's there for us, I mean, it's almost like a second brain in your pocket or in the palm of your hand.
I don't think Google's making you stupid. You can only make yourself stupid, to be honest.
It's not something that I find important, because if I'm still going to use Google, it doesn't really matter whether or not I feel if it's making me stupid, because I still have to read the book, I still have to know the knowledge, even though I'm just going to get rid of the knowledge when I'm done.
People used to think you couldn't have internet at the palm of your hand, and now everybody, if you don't, like, you're basically, I don't want to say a nobody, but like you're not as, like, you don't have access to information as quick as everyone else. Yeah, out of the loop.
I think it's just really easy to pick up your phone and like Google what you need to, find the answer, and then be done with it.
Yeah. You know, I remember growing up as a kid, like, you'd have to read a freaking encyclopedia just to find like a certain fact, that where now you can Google it and bam, there it is in an instant.
I use Google just, even for translate, If some word I don't understand, I can, type with my first language and translate to English.
Here, the computer is man's newest tool.
When I was brought up, I would read through an article in the encyclopedia, and then there was this big circular thing where I would answer questions based upon the article that I read. And today, if you're looking for an answer, you go and you find the answer, but you really don't understand where it came from.
Students found the library a valuable source for needed information.
I mean, that's how you guys learned, or how people learned historically. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how they'll learn in the future.
So we're more intelligent now.
I don't know if it's necessarily intelligence, but I think it's making us a lot more lazy.
If I have to read something that I can feel the thickness of, I'm really, I mean, it's almost like lazy. It's like, man, that's not going to be to the point. I don't really want to know. I don't want to go through, like, can I just get a summary of this somewhere or something? Like, I just want a quick understanding of something, and I guess in that regard, yeah, it is making us lazy.
I tell you right now that unless you get over your lazy habits and come up to the standards I've set for this class, many of you will have the pleasure of repeating this course next semester.
Google kind of makes us a little more lazy. Like, we're not becoming stupid, though, like, because we have all this information at our hands that we haven't had before, so we're learning more things.
Gatherers probably think we're lazy now, because we can just drive to the store and get food. They had to hunt their own food, skin it, cook it, like everything. We can just go through a drive-thru. I mean, really, I don't know if lazy is the right term either, because it's just like the evolution of time, really. I mean, pretty soon, something's going to come even better than Google.
As in brain chips. Open brain, insert chip, close brain, shake, get ready to connect.
Sounds crazy to me.
I don't think that necessarily Google is making us dumber. I think, what we talked about in class, it's an evolution, and we're all seeing it.
It's a different evolution, a different stage in the human lifestyle.
Here in the years to come, how often are you going to write a paper? Like, look at now, a teacher, they're like, just type it for me, or email it.
Or email it to me. Don't even worry about printing it off.
Nobody wants to see your handwriting anymore.
Individual differences in handwriting make possible many of the activities upon which the world depends. Scribbled written work makes it difficult for teachers to concentrate on what you've written. But if you write clearly, the writing doesn't have to be deciphered, and all of the teacher's attention can be given to your expression of what you've learned.
It's evolving.
Can't you understand?
Without Google,
We'll be marching backward, through the glorious ages of that 16th century, when bigots burned the man who dared bring enlightenment and intelligence to the human mind.
I think the argument that Google is making us stupid is inherently flawed, because Google is just another stage. of our lives. It's sort of like saying, well, the telephone's making us stupid because we can call people and we can disrupt their lives and we can, call the fire department if there's a fire. We don't use smoke signals anymore. It's just a different stage in life. There'll probably be something else that someone's going to always be complaining about.
Maybe like we're not learning things as much as we used to, just because we have access to it at all times. So it's like I'll just read like the first line or two of a paragraph, and if I really want to know more about it, I will read into it. But otherwise, I'll just be like, well, I can look up this any other time, so I don't really need to learn it and really put it in a memory bank.
It's like if you don't have the purpose of memorizing it, if you can always just look it up again, like what are you really taking from that? Even like in classroom settings and work settings, if I don't really have to know how something functions, I can just always look it up every time. Like, am I really doing the job, or am I really studying the subject, or is it just like a false thing of intelligence?
Please Google that, Siri.
I don't think so. Like, okay, in biology in high school, you dissect a frog and you have to memorize all all the muscles and everything. And really, you can just go online, you get a Google image of the whole thing right there, and then you can point to it. Like, I don't feel like the need to memorize something that's pretty irrelevant to my life. I would think if I'm not really doing anything involved with a frog.
I worked at a call center. We did tech support. Our major resource was Google.
I actually just Googled how to refine my search, and it came up with links to tell me.
Sorry, but that's so great. So we use Google to teach us how to Google.
Yep.
What would you like to search for?
Google.
Searching Google for Google.
It does benefit us and help us write papers. It does benefit us in our homework because we're not wasting time trying to read 2 chapters to figure out exactly, what it is we're trying to figure out. We can know it right away by just Googling it.
When you have a question for something, boom, you type it in, Google it.
So what else about the digital age?
Teachers are always annoyed with me in school growing up because I'll be like, why? Because it helps me understand.
Well, if it's something you don't feel that you need to know,
right?
That's our generation, though. Well,
that's just that was my age group too. Just like you made the statement earlier, I'm not going to use this later in life. I'll tell you that as you get older, that attitude changes because all of a sudden you're like, man, I wish I would have paid a little more attention. I think you're going to see the evolution in the teaching field as well, because right now the teachers are older and they remember the older ways.
This is the poorest class I've had in a long, long time. Most of you have no foundation at all. Now the trouble's with your attitude. You don't pay enough attention in class. You don't know what the word study means. You haven't the slightest idea.
Now we're coming at you with, we're probably using stuff that most professors don't even know exists right now.
There's only one possible answer.
Let's put it like this. Google don't make us stupid. The old generation make us stupid.
The what makes you stupid?
The old generation make us stupid.
Could you explain that to us, Charles?
The older generation mentality is the one make us stupid because they thinking us to go backward, but we're not going backward. The thing is you have to adapt to the new generation future. You don't talk about something going backward. Otherwise, you're going to end up with nothing. So it's better for you to catch up with the technology that Google is doing. So you don't oppose things. The more you oppose, you'll be the loser.
But I think teachers, they're just going to have to adapt because it's coming at them whether they like it or not.
You're not going back no more.
Yep, and I think that's what you're seeing universities and colleges they're slowly adapting. They're getting the technology.
What are you doing when you're online and also trying to listen?
Well, I'm a good multitasker, that's for sure. It's easy to listen to you and Snapchat.
And what?
Snapchat.
Chat.
Doing like 3 different things at the same time to be, like I gotta listen to music and I gotta maybe watch a video about it and then I gotta go back and read it and then my interest is piqued and then I can focus.
There's nothing to do, nobody's around. You know how it is. I went down to the bowling alley, went over to the drugstore. None of the gang was there. I've got nothing to do but wait for supper.
Is that the problem, Mr. Edmonds?
Yes, growing up is a problem.
I think there is a generational issue. I think when it comes into like the Google generation and stuff like that, they're like, well, you know, we can just skip over this because it doesn't pertain.
It depends on how you're using Google. I mean, if you're actually using it and like not Facebooking or just skimming stuff and actually reading stuff, I mean, you're still pertaining stuff. You're just not using a hard like back book and stuff.
I think it's a definitely generational thing. I think it's a regional thing, and I think, you know, my mom just discovered Facebook, which I'm thinking about defriending her. But
I know that you learned stuff from when you was at school back in the back, but now you have to catch up with those stuff new because they're not going back, they're moving forward. If you don't do that, and then you'll be the one affected with it. So I think Google is doing the right thing.
I think it's bad or not, it's the way it's going to go. So I have to mentally accept it and just say that this is changing, and there's nothing we can do about it. We just need to learn from it and
go with the flow, get left in the back.
Yeah, keep learning from it. I mean,
from like learning from your mistake like point of view, I mean, the only way I can see Google making us stupider is just giving us false information by that. But I mean, Google's learning from their mistakes, and like how Wikipedia started out, people thought it was so bad because you could change stuff.
Well, a study was done to show that Wikipedia is actually doing pretty well as living document. Things change. And our libraries?
Here, many of us use the same books and reference materials.
Like, okay, you have 100,000 people look at this page versus only 20,000 that look at this page. They stay on the page for approximately 3-4 minutes versus 2 to 3 here. Yep. This is more pertinent for what people need to know versus this.
And then scholars worry that that's going to make everyone just study the same thing because you'll go for the first few hits.
Here, many of us use the same books and reference materials.
We're absolutely gonna do that, and if you don't want us to do that, again, it comes with the evolution of technology. Tell us what you need us to know, and tell us why you want us to know.
Right answer is 9.
Tell me, you know, why I need to know it, and that I'll retain.
Interest was greater. Facts were learned better and remembered longer because they were related to very real, everyday problems.
I know this is about Google, but I think it's more about technology in general.
What do you think about attention span and all the digital devices you have access to?
What do I think about attention span and what? Well, from me, I have a short attention span, but I don't really know.
Do you think part of having a short attention span is what might motivate you to get on all the different devices?
Yes. Because I get bored with this, so I look at another one, and I go back to it. Well,
What about when you have to focus, when you have to deep read something?
when I have to focus, that's what Adderall's for. When I have to focus, I just make myself sit down and do it. It sucks, but you gotta get the job done.
But you will do it when you choose to.
Yeah, like your paper, I won't do a week till it's due, just so that you know.
Man has the capacity for abstract thought and the freedom to choose what to do or think.
Could you explain that mechanism of focusing and not focusing, like when you choose to do one or the
Well,
other?
say you assign this paper at the end of semester, yeah, we can do it all semester, but who's going to do it because we have till May 7th when it's due. when it gets to the end of April, like, I have to get this done, it's due this day, then I'll just buckle up and do it.
The individual, if they have the willpower, they have the interest, they can still deep read, they can still go more in depth to it.
What he decides to do may be a subjective choice, a matter of personal preference.
And I think, we all have that attitude, like, we do want to know why this helps us in life. And I think it would be beneficial to a lot of professors and teachers. Where are we going to use this? Or, give me some examples. And, maybe Google can help them do that, or the technology can help do that, because we are, even as kids, when you ask your mom, it's like I think we talked about, why? And mom says, because I said so. That attitude is the same that most professors have. A lot of them have that attitude, and I'm completely turned off by it, because I think you're sending the wrong message.
Oh, but Mr. Edmonds, I'm not a first grader.
And I think you're inhibiting our ability to want to really understand, because ultimately that's how we learn the best, is understanding exactly what you want us to know and why you want us to know it. So,
I don't feel this is useful, I don't care about
yeah, I had that same attitude. You have to understand your pool of students.
Learning must be made meaningful. Interest in work for which learners see a purpose provides its own discipline.
For the teacher, just creating critical thinking skills and curiosity, encouraging curiosity to learn more and to want to learn more and to want to be better.
Critical thinking based upon facts is very important.
Google allows that. It's a tool.
I'm working on what interests me the most of all, that is the computer as a tool. We know that man's progress has been through the use of tools, whether they're carpenter's tools, machinist's tools, or the tools of language.
So why is a shortcut necessarily a bad thing? Why are we going to say, well, word processing makes formatting a lot easier and error-free and it looks more professional, but that's a shortcut. So let's just go back to handwriting stuff, and maybe those pens are kind of shortcuts. Let's get old bird feathers and ink, and you could say electricity's a shortcut.
Then one day an Iowa jeweler took the step that made the fountain pen a practical tool. What he did was to put a lever on the barrel to do the job of the coin that was too often missing. This was the forward step.
How do you tell someone's getting stupid? I mean, when you're doing it through your head, I can do it 10 times faster than you on a calculator, math. I mean, how are you saying I'm stupider, that I'm being more efficient and getting stuff done faster than you, and it's still, we're getting the same answers, everything?
5 into 5 is 20, no, 5 into 25 is 4, and 4 into, 5 into 25 times, no, 4 times 5 is 20, 5 times 5 is 25, 14 times 5 is 25, 14 times 5 is,
You're just utilizing resources.
It's the work smart, not hard mentality. It's like, I mean, my dad's a really hard worker, and he grew up as a farmer. But if he could do something easier, he's gonna do it.
Isn't this the adaptation term we were learning about?
Yeah, the thing we're learning about is how to get to the new terminologies. Not easy for them. That's why they oppose it.
Today, there are more than 5,000 computers. Computers are in business, in factories. Computers track our lives from the start to the finish.
what's even new here? Oh, brain chips?
How do I get high grades?
Huh.
Hi, I'm Nick, and I'm 19.
Charles Odubasa, I'm 32 years old.
Matt Gilchrist, I'm 20.
Corey Kent, 31.
Dan, and I'm 21.
My name is John. I'm 59.
My name is Muhammad. I am 25.
My name is Tim Van D, and I'm 22 years old.
I'm Jennifer Thompson, and I'm 19.
My name is Andrew Miller, 19 years old.
I'm Shane Ovington, I'm 28 years old.
My name's Sam Jorgensen, 19 years old.
My name is Carly, and I'm 20.
A friendly attitude with a sprinkling of humor goes a long way toward winning the regard and cooperation of the class.
Is that it?
There's nothing to do, nobody's around. You know how it is.
I think Google is doing the right thing.